Check it, check it, check it, check. Check it, check. Check it, check it, checker games. Check it, check. Oh, yeah. Up. My bad. Okay, we're good. I'm trying to fix my pop screen here. My bad, it popped off. Okay. This is the one. Okay. Welcome to the Sanity Trance. I've been loving today's episode's idea because it blows my mind what's possible. And I try not to bank on the success rate I've had with it because it seems unreal and I don't know when it's going to stop. It's just like I've been riding some kind of energy train of unreal proportions for a while, years now. And it's like I still have never felt that I was in the wrong place too early or too late or none of that. It's like my sense of time has found a whole nother branch of existence. Like, I feel like it's part DNA and then part just studying drumming and chopping up time. But like, my dad is really good at predicting time for how long it's gonna take to get somewhere. Like, stupidly good. I've watched him he'd be insanely close, if not right on the money, more often than not, way more often than not. You know, he just has an insane ability of knowing just travel time and all that. And I kind of feel like I have that a little bit myself. Like I give a lot of buffer room for reality and people's mistakes and long ways around or whatever, you know. But once I got into drumming, I started learning about how to chop up time, you know, and you have as many percentages as you can think of, you know, but it starts simple with just like whole notes, which is a whole 4 beats, a long note, you know, and then you can split that in half, and then you have 2 half notes, and it just keeps doubling essentially, you know, but you could chop it up with whatever fraction you'd like, you know, and in a lot of drumming, you know, most of the possibilities can be chopped up into like, I mean, it's you don't usually run into something more than like 2 6-tuplets in a row or something like that, you know, those kind of things. If it starts getting any faster, it's like you can play 13ths or 14ths or weird notes like that, but after a while, it starts to go so fast. It like creates a pitch, right? It like a motorcycle. That's a great way to think of it because you hear that straight up. Like every time you hear one take off, you hear every combustion until there's so many. You just mostly hear a pitch instead of, you know. But this is, you know, that once you start getting really technical into drums, if you get really far, it starts becoming more about that kind of thinking. Like, let's work on our septuplets and work on accents in between and get real, like, mechanical. I don't think it's very dangerous to, maybe not dangerous is the word, but like, it's very easy to misperceive what you're doing, because these exercises are mechanical and they're not necessarily musical. Much in the same way, I could really work on the word supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and really work on my diction of it and my smoothness of saying it and volume and things, but I'm never going to use that word in public. You know, I'm hardly ever talking to anyone where that word needs to be said. Never. I mean, it takes a stretch of the imagination, right? Like, so, you know, that's kind of what that turns into. Let's work on our septuplets with accenting every third one and then every fourth one. And then, you know, you can make all sorts of beautiful little things like that. But it's easy to fall off the deep end and be really good at that and never have a place for it. You know, if you're going to be doing things like that, at least write it into a song or a piece where you can make it a device, you know. But anyway, that's besides the point of what I'm trying to say. You reach a point where you get so good that you need to find a teacher. If you didn't already have one, or if you've outgrown your teacher, you just have to keep finding more. You just have to, you know, it's the further you go, you'll climb these ladders of experience and intelligence and perspective. And I think I'm incredibly grateful to all of my teachers, and I would not be where I am without if it weren't for them and the things they showed me. And deep down, they showed me how to find the next teacher each time. And the guy I hang with now is that's my dude, man. Like he helped me see like the final bits and pieces of what I was missing with understanding the why of drumming, you know? Because I had a real discipline problem, quote unquote. They said I played too much all the time and was too much all the time, and that's all anyone would ever say. They'd never know how to say it a different way. And, you know, this guy comes in and just says even dispersal of frequencies, and I just chew on that sentence all the time ever since. And that was years ago now. But it's such a good one. Even dispersal of frequencies. Yeah, man, it teaches you how to get out of everybody's way and all that. and for the right reasons. But once I reached the threshold of like, okay, we're on a level where we're on the leading edge of thought with the world of rhythm. And we're sharing that together, and, you know, we teach each other, and we're right at each other's necks all the time, and that's not necessarily, it doesn't really matter. It's like, that's my favorite part about it is like, no matter what, I'm never going to catch this dude. Not important, because it's more, what he's trying to show me really is where he's getting his ideas from is the same place I'm getting mine from, is the same place all of our future teachers are getting their ideas from, and really it's like, once you reach the end of finding all the available people in your area or region or whatever you can even handle, the only person left to take drum lessons from is reality. The timing of nature and the intersection of society, the rhythmic intersections of society, of a conversation, of when we're here, how to enjoy being here, when it's time to go, how to understand and commit to when it's time to go. You know, all of these things are, if you fight it, you become anxious. And yet when you're in it, it's right, and it's almost effortless. And it's just like all the beginner drum lessons where you're not supposed to really feel any muscular tension. You just kind of throw the stick and let it be the stick. It feels very natural when you do it right. And you don't even care. You have all these reasons why you could care. They might even be noble, you know, maybe justifiable. I don't know. But the transcendent truth of practicing an exercise, of just practicing practice, is you're supposed to practice correctly so it's effortless while you're practicing, so it's also effortless while you're performing. So you shouldn't make it feel like too much work, you know, like don't be over flexing anything. But with drumming and the ultimate drum teacher being the universe, you know, like that's there's so much there, it's easy to lose a train of thought about it. But it's also just because it's so all-encompassing. And that's partly where I can lose my train of thought and come right back to it, is because it's impossible to leave. And I love that. I am within time, and yet time is a human construct. I can, you know, so it's like I'm within it and also above it at the same time, and that's a fact that we don't take near enough advantage of. And yet the lessons I've been getting from the universe about this is crucial, because it's like what it's really trying to tell me is that there's always time for everything. I literally have an eternity's worth of time. I may not survive it, of course, but that doesn't mean the wealth of time is going anywhere. You know, it's because especially if I invented it, if humans invented it, then we don't really have it. It's still happening, but it's just like how to conceptualize what's going on around us on a scientific level. But when the fact that you can step out of it and believe it is where you can really accomplish miracles. You can get decades worth of time saved or worked on in just a few moments if you can step outside of it and realize the proper things Because it's just like when you leave your perception of time and you're able to really be in this free floating zone, anything's possible, including uh, extreme lifetimes worth of knowledge searches that can happen just by realizing a certain sentence at a certain time. You may not have to go through the same crazy experience someone else did to get to a certain sentence, but you find it nonetheless because you're willing to take an equally extreme jump of abandoning your perception of time and the reality of it for just long enough to forget about it. And in that moment, you have a chance to do some serious soul work. But if you're not using it for that, and it's really hard to do that. That's the ideal goal. If you can do it every time, oh my God, you're going to be so accomplished and so young still. But otherwise, the real way you use it on a practical level is just being completely at peace with this is where we are right now. This is what's going on. Oh, the house is on fire. Time to leave. While you're leaving, you don't have to be sad. You don't have to feel any kind of way about it. Why? Is because it's time. It does not care what you feel. It's, sorry it caught you on a sick day, but we got to move. Your house is on fire. And it's easy and you don't even argue. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So it's like, I love that. It's like the common sense factor. You can be coming from all sorts of different places, but we're all returning to common sense of, oh yeah, who wouldn't do that then? And that's kind of what is awesome about thinking about the ultimate universal lesson of timing, because you can chop it up as much as you want and get as technical as you want with it, but you can also escape it and put it in a little bitty box, and you can put it in even smaller boxes. And from that chair, you can get, like I said, you can get an insane amount of of creativity understood and realize, like, you can get rid of a lot of mental blocks that you have. But you have to be willing to believe, because this is one of those things that's like almost impossible to get out of, right? But just thinking of it that way, there'll be a time, and when it's time, it's time. You have to accept that. And not only that, you're in the dance. You're dancing the dance of time anyway, so you might as well enjoy it more, because you're missing it if you're too busy complaining about the next chapter being whatever it's going to be, or the last chapter being what it was. None of that is musical. That's all what just happened or hasn't even happened yet. What's musical is there's a moment right now. And in that moment, there's so much going on. And there's always a new thing to hear. But that first attack transient you heard, the psh, that's gone. We're on a whole nother thing now. So, I don't know. I've been loving it. It seems like the more I dig on rhythm and time and the escaping and returning to it and the malleability of it, in the name of productivity, the more synchronicity happens. And, that's one of those hippie words where you really think the universe has some personal stuff to tell you, but it does and it doesn't. It's just like we're all in these rhythms, and the intersections happen to line up with a lot of statistical probabilities and coincidences. And that, if you don't remember that, you can end up down some rabbit holes on accident and waste your time in loops of spiritual messages that are actually just illusions. But I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I've actually, you just got to know when it's time. More drum lessons. But yeah, it's insane how often I'm late or early or right on time, and whatever happened, because I had no worries at all about the other side of where I was going and who was depending on me. And because I show up ready to be there when it's time to be there, I don't know. It has always happened this way. Anytime I was late, everybody else is later, or, it just, things like that. It's like, I can't, it blows my mind because of how often this happens, y'all. It's like, I don't even rush anyone, and I'm never rushed, but sometimes I wake up late, and, sometimes I'll straight up, you do what you gotta do. Call your people and let them know sometimes, and that's that. But, like, even on the days where I don't, where it's just like I have total faith that it's going to be okay, It is. And I don't know if that's drum lessons or just me knowing what really matters, but that's kind of the point here. It's like drum lessons tell you when it's time to care, because most of the time it's pretty careless. It's pretty carefree, I should say. But yeah, man, perfect timing all the time. Anxiety is just you fighting the reality of the dance you're in right now. You know, maybe you don't like two-stepping or whatever, but you better learn to love it. You know, it's like this is life, and if you're living it, you better love it, or else you are living the wrong life. You could be doing so much more with it. You know, if you're not loving your existence, then change it. Come on, man. And you know, that's asking a lot of some people, but really, look at your system, tweak it here and there, and you'll slowly get out. You know, kind of like digging your way out of jail with a spoon or something. You know, it's like somewhere in the middle of that whole circular path you're running, you find some time to just take a little out here and there, and then you're out. And that, you know, that's an extreme, but that shows you people are going through worse, and they're willing to put up with worse to get out of their situation to make things better. So if we're all created equal here, I don't understand how that makes me any less inclined, you know. But anyway, yeah, that's an epic thing, man. That's my current drum teacher, along with whoever else in the internet as well, you know, and then teaching on the side of that is just, I'm just wholeheartedly studying drums, but it's turned into, I'm actually wholeheartedly studying timing. And so, yeah, man, cheers, y'all. Keep on playing. And even if you're not a drummer, you have a rhythm, you know, and figure out what your song is and see if you can't tweak it here and there. All right, have fun chopping it up, y'all.